You may bring the jury. Exhibit with or without objection?
That exhibit is without objection.
All right. Submitted without objection.
Is that the disc? That's the disc we're
It's the
talking about?
exhibit, whatever. I assume you all know what it is.
It's defendant's son.
Action within the video.
And has the jury seen that?
The entire image set?
No, any of those images?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what exactly, are those the images of the ground fight?
There is a selection of images contained within all 6 of my videos.
Right. And are those images of the ground fight on disc number 2?
Yes, sir.
And would you mind stepping down and using the solicitor's computer to go through those with me?
The image set, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
This is stage 12.
Sir, do you have disc number 2 defense exhibit loaded up in the computer?
So I think there's a bit of confusion as far as whether you want to watch the video frame by frame or the image set, contact image set that is contained on this too. Originally, we were talking about looking at the video and going frame by frame. I am unsure exactly which portion of that, whether it's the video or the image set. You would like.
Aren't they the same thing?
No, sir. The image
Well,
set.
the images are taken from the video, correct?
Yes, sir. So
So
we have the video.
The image that you would show, you can look at the video and you can see what the image is.
Yes, sir.
It's just an extraction from the video, so let's look at the video. That would give the jury the complete picture, correct?
For the record, this would be state's exhibit number 12.
All right.
So the video is on State's Exhibit number 12. saying that you cannot extract any specific frames of the video to show the jury?
If we would like to go to my third examination, sir, I have extracted every image of every enhanced video that I have, which will allow the jury and yourself to examine every image of every frame.
All right, whatever way you suggest is the best way for the jury to understand the crime fight, I would like for the jury to do it. Your choice.
May I consult with counsel for a second, Your Honor?
Would you mind if I grab a piece of paper from the
Let's start at the beginning and go back to the video of, you've isolated a portion of the video, and I think you entitled it Ground Fight.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's look at the video so the jury can get the overall picture. If you would like to explain to the jury what you were showing them, I think that would be helpful.
Okay. So, also, the full videos, these are broken down sections of the video. This one in particular is that portion of the video where it was just started to be recorded, and you see an altercation between Mr. Scott and Mr. Slager. Highlighted that portion of the video where those two individuals are on the ground. You do see a lot of motion blur. What I'm about to show you is an MOV version of that. It will allow me to show that imagery on a frame-by-frame basis. This entire video, this portion of the video, has 3,071 images. That's a makeup of 30 frames a second as it's produced. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this particular video in QuickTime. And this will allow me to go ahead and play it in a frame-by-frame capability. Once it's sized properly, get it playing. As we go through, I can use the space bar to either start or stop the imagery. And then I can use the right or left arrow key to go through frame by frame every image that is on this video.
Mr. Idle, so what we're seeing now is the Santana video, correct?
Yes,
And that's the Santana video that was sent to you, Quantico Virginia.
this is the enhanced version.
And you have enhanced that video, which is what we're seeing now.
Yes, sir. So basically, I brought this in, taken the video itself, placed it into Adobe Premiere, resized that portion of the video so it's centered on your screen, reduced the play speed, and then highlighted the area where those two individuals are. Because the video is so bad, I'm using this technique to allow you to see where these individuals are during the motion, all the motion of the video. I did not do a lot of per se enhancement or stabilization because the video is
play for the jury at 1/7 the speed of real time.
Actually, right now, we are playing this frame by frame, sir. I have total control of this video. But yes,
So can you play them first, the entire video, then we'll go back and piecemeal?
yes,
You want to play?
Mr. Sanders.
So let's stop there. What the jury has seen is Mr. Santana's video at 15% speed. Is that correct? And now what we're looking at are individual frames that you extracted from that same video. Is that correct?
these are the clearest frames that I can view in this video.
And if you would, as you show us these frames, would you tell us the frame number?
Let me go look on my notes and see if I have that. I do have that in the actual Adobe product that I produced. That's sitting on my printer sheet back behind me. Let me go grab my notes real quick and see if that's actually listed. So I do not have the actual image numbers in my notes. However, if I go back to my work product back in my workstation, I can tell you exactly which frame I was in.
Would it be fair to say that frame 1 would be the start of the video?
Usually frame 0.
Zero. And you have the capability now of going to frame 27. see two images of people.
Right there.
And what frame number is that, sir?
I believe it's about frame 40, give or take a little bit.
Frame 49, please. And that's the best image we can find at that time in the confrontation between Mr. Scott and Mr. Slager.
I would have to critically review each one of these frames to see that. But the images that I produced at the end of this video, the clearest ones that I found during this video. That's approximately, again, I would prefer to go back to the actual images that are exported frame by frame, because this is just a guess.
And frame 79, please.
Again, this is just, this would guess.
This is a guess.
As I count through this, yes, sir. These are enhanced videos in which I place black video in front of it.
But the problem with showing the jury the precise frame is because the frame numbers are back in front of it. Is that correct?
So we have actually the frame numbers that we
frame numbers that we're referencing, are there two sets of frame numbers?
Two sets of frames.
It's part of the confusion because there are frame numbers of the clip and then the frame numbers of the video.
So it all depends on which framing number. So when I extracted the images, that was from the raw video itself. This is the cut down version of the enhanced video. So when I extracted the actual images, those images were from the cell phone video from frames 0 all the way up to.
Correct, so there are two different sets of frame numbers. There's the video and then there's the extraction video that you did. Different frame numbers, one on one is not one on the other.
No, the image set on here would be the images of that image set here. The actual enhanced images are from the original video. I will always go back to the original video. The raw video, raw unconverted video, without any of my enhancements to push that out. All of the images themselves have been processed through Adobe Photoshop, which is a completely separate program.
Can you take us to 20150-404, because that's the case number, correct?
Case numbers.
Let me show you, maybe you can explain. You recognize these two frames?
So what you're looking at is the actual video number. So 201-504-04-093738. That's the actual video itself, and before images. And this image set here, 158, is the image number 158 in that full extracted the original video. So the original video was 3 minutes and I believe 2 seconds long. That is frame number 158 in that video.
Now, we offer these as defense exhibits, please.
I would not extract images from my enhanced video.
Says stated.
No objection, Your Honor.
Submitted without objection.
Let's take a look at defendants 45 and 46, please. Mr. Ambolwakis, you just take a look at those and tell the jury if that's an example of an extraction from the video they just saw, a single shot.
So these two images, crop and crop, they are images 158 and 162 of the original video. They are not of this imagery. They are the original video when I extracted the images. They are disc, I believe on disc number 2, and they would coincide with the contact sheet. As per se, all the information on there was produced on the contact sheet, which again coincides with the file number down below with the actual image.
So this is an extraction from Mr. Santana's video, correct? And it's difficult to see who's who, correct?
It is. There's a lot of motion blur. When you have this type of motion blur on a camera, it's very difficult to even define what is going on in this imagery. It is a still shot in time during a very brief moment that altercation has occurred. And the motion blur, the color,
And so the disturbance on the image itself is caused by the fence and by foliage, and the person taking the video is moving, the camera's moving. Is that correct?
The camera's having a hard time on what they're going to focus on.
And the two parties are moving.
Good.
But if one knows what color shirt the parties involved are wearing, certainly that image is clear enough to pick out which parties who, even if you can't see facial features.
So I, again, do not have an opinion as to what's going on in this video. I can explain the video itself as far as what problems there are, but the jury can.
But the jury can decide whether a blue uniform is flat on the ground and whether a green shirt is standing or kneeling over.
Testify, Your Honor.
Objection sustained.
I'm asking you if the jury can make a decision based on that as the position of the bodies.
I am not deferred as to what the jury will state from this image or not. Each individual has their own opinion as to what they would see and what they would define what that image is themselves.
Let's go back to the images that you selected to show us yesterday, starting with State's Exhibit 183.
Mr. Savage, if you'd like to resume this witness study.
Let me look up. Oh. So going back now to the beginning of 183, and you testified earlier there's a shot before that, correct? An image of the slide before that, if you will, or the frame before that, correct?
Yes, sir. Again, there's a series of images prior to and after the fact.
So would it be your testimony based on your review of the video and the still images you've been able to get out that frame 397 is the last frame that you felt was suitable for the jury to see in terms of the touching of the two parts?
So I selected 418 images out of this video, sir. If you want to review each and every one of those images, I'm more than happy to produce those up on the screen if the prosecution will.
Well, let me see if I can be clear. The last image, the last frame of the two parties touching each other, you selected to be the one that's in front of the jury now, 183. Is that correct?
If that is the last image that I produced for this case that is on the evidentiary disc, then yes. If it is not, I would have to go back to the disc and review each one of the images, each one of the 418 images that I produced. If we would like to do that, I have no problem. No, sir. I'm more than happy to show everything that I produced.
Would you show the jury the last image you have of the two parties touching?
Yes, sir. I would have to ask the prosecution to pull up the imagery once again. I believe it's on disc 2 that I produced.
Mr. Savage, it's on your exhibit.
Do you know if there's any exhibit that you have done that would show a later touching of the two parties?
Yes, sir. On my enhanced version of the videos, I produced every image of every frame of this video, and it will show every image of which these two individuals are touching or not up until the point they move apart.
Is this the last image before they move apart?
If we can call up the video, we can see exactly what the last image is of these two individuals.
That's okay.
I have no problem doing it.
That's fine.
This is one of the images that I selected, one of the 418 images that I selected.
What was the purpose of selecting this image?
This particular image here was to show that there was contact between the two individuals during the confrontation.
And is that frame number available?
We can go to the actual file itself from this printed image and see exactly what frame number that is.
And
Or we can go to the contact sheet and it'll be printed on there.
let's look at the last image that you showed to the jury in this sequence. What number is that? Was it State's Exhibit 193?
You have the article, sir. I do not.
See 193, please? State's Exhibit 193. Is that the last one in the sequence?
I believe it was the last one in the sequence that was produced or introduced by the prosecution yesterday. I'm not sure it's the last sequence that I produced because we did not put in 418 images in yesterday.
How about State's Exhibit 194? That's 194, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, that's State's Exhibit numbers 183 through 194.
Yes, sir.
And those are sequential images of Mr. Santana's videos.
Yes, sir.
And how much time elapsed in real time between 183 and 194?
At 30 frames a second, I would say that there was very few amount of time between those two. Again, I'd have to go to the video and look at those images, look at the frames, and discern exactly how much time took place between the selected images.
Let's go back to the selected images that you selected, 183.
Yes, sir.
And that has a frame number attached to it, correct?
If you pull up the contact sheet in this format, yes, sir. This particular image, the frame number will be superimposed into the file number itself, which will coincide to the contact sheet.
But there is a frame number associated with 183.
Yes, sir.
And it's only the frame number that can tell us the time. Isn't that correct?
No, the frame number is the exact frame that I extracted from the video itself. There is no time linked to that video that I have seen or been able to extract from the video.
Mr. Island, jurors trying to understand the sequence of time. I'm trying to understand the sequence of time.
Mm-hmm.
They have frame numbers, correct?
Yes,
And you have testified that there are 30 frames per second.
approximately, yes.
So the frame number is important for the jury to know how much time expired between the time they were touching and the time of the shot, correct?
That's what you see, yes, sir.
No, but, I mean, you're an experienced guy for 30, 40 years of this. You know in a police shooting case, that's the key. Time.
Time is usually
Time.
essential, yes, sir.
Not distance, time.
I would
So
say
what is
both.
what is the time between 183 and 194?
If we can call up the original video, we can, or we can sit back and go back to the video, and on QuickTime, there is a time frame down in the bottom left-hand corner.
Excuse me. I didn't mean to.
Yes, sir. So, during the course of this investigation, I was requested to review the video, locate the taser, highlight that taser, and locate that taser throughout the entire video. At no point during this investigation was I requested to break down the time frame or timeline of images from one point to another. Now, during the course of this investigation, you can look at the video, and there is approximately 19 seconds from when the shooting, or excuse me, the altercation starts and the shooting ends. During that point in time, you can break apart the frame numbers at that point from 0 all the way up to when that point starts, and you can divide that by 30, and you can see how much time that was. For me to sit here and do a complicated number or extraction of videos and images ad hoc, I'm not comfortable doing that. If you would like to go for a break and I can sit back on the video with a calculator and define that amount of time, I can, but I'm not positioned or in a position to do this ad hoc and give you false information.
So we wouldn't want you to give false information, but I would like you to give complete information.
I am, sir, as much as I possibly can.
183, States Exhibit 183, we know a frame number, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that frame number is 396.
Okay.
And then there are frames that have not been seen by the jury between that time and the last frame in the sequence.
And if you would like to produce those, sir, you have that copy. You can produce those at any point in time.
Sir, I'm asking you,
Yes, sir.
and certainly you have basic math skills, do you not?
I can use a calculator.
And you can tell from frame 396 to States Exhibit frame number 434, how many frames there are between 96 and 34.
I would allow you the opportunity to give me that number, sir.
Just try 38.
Okay.
How much time?
So at 38, you're talking 38 frames per second, so you're looking at a little over 1 second.
So for the jury and all this distances and whatnot, the time that we last see in 183, the touching of the two people, until we see 194, is 1 second.
Oh, yes, sir. I believe I explained that early on in my testimony, that this shooting, this altercation, happened in mere seconds.
Instantly.
Yes, sir.
No time to reflect, no time to process, no time to think. It's a reaction.
Your Honor, I would ask that he ask questions instead of testify.
The objection is sustained.
Did you show the jury yesterday the video in which Mr. Slager dropped a taser near Mr. Scott?
The prosecution played that, yes, sir.
Through you, correct?
That is one of the videos that I produced, yes, sir.
Did you tell the prosecutor or the jury that you had a video of him picking up the taser?
That is on the disc itself, sir.
That was not my question. Did you show it to the jury?
No, sir.
And do you have that for the jury to see?
Yes, sir.
And do those images have frame numbers?
Well, in the image group of the contact sheets that you received, yes, sir, they do.
It's not what I received, Mr. Himmel, it's what the jury sees.
Okay.
So has the jury seen it?
Not to my aware, but again, I was not present during the testimony prior to me yesterday.
But you have testified and you've shown the jury the dropping of the taser.
The prosecution has, yes, sir.
You have.
I did not hit play. I'm just sitting here explaining what is being shown on the video.
So you don't want to take responsibility for what the jury knows?
No, sir. I would prefer that the jury knows.
The objection is sustained.
So do you have a video of Mr. Slager picking up the taser?
Yes, sir. I have 6 enhanced videos of this entire confrontation.
And do you have frame numbers associated with the dropping of the taser and frame numbers associated with the picking up of the taser?
I believe that image group is what you submitted earlier on disc number 2.
Tell the jury how many seconds the taser was dropped for before it was picked up.
Again, I'd have to look at the frame numbers and go through the math.
Have you done that?
No, sir. It was not requested for me or by anybody within the FBI for me to discern exactly how long in this confrontation It was until that taser was picked up or dropped. But you can, with the frame numbers, as we did earlier, discern that within the video.
Did you show the jury the video of him picking it up?
No, sir, but we can at any point in time, if you so deem it, you have that access.
Let's show it. You have it? Before you show that, did you take any still pictures when Officer Havisham arrived?
It would be the image group, sir.
And I assume that image of Officer Havisham arriving would be documented by a frame number?
If that was selected. Again, I selected an image group that I felt was important during this. Everything else was produced directly on the video. Any officers that were recorded on the video are played in this video.
And do you know how many seconds Officer Havisham, or what time he was present before the taser was dropped?
As I stated, sir, I did not discern any time frames with this video. My only examination, as requested of me, was the location of that taser before, during, and after the shooting.
Do you have a recollection of whether an officer other than Officer Slager was present when the taser was dropped?
I do believe that there was an individual attending to Mr. Scott during that time frame. But again, we can watch the video and see exactly what happened.
And do you know how long he was there before the taser was dropped?
Once again, I did not discern any time frames during this video. It was not my intention to link a time frame during this portion.
And in the examination of the video following the handcuffing of Mr. Scott, did you see a frame or 2 frames or 3 frames in which Officer Slager was looking at the taser?
I believe that he went back after he handcuffed Mr. Scott to collect the taser. Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm not. I'm asking you if you saw in the frames that he was looking for a taser.
I don't believe, again, I have no recollection of what's going on in that as far as what he is doing or attempting to do. It is not my intention to discern what is going on in this video, only the enhancement of the video itself.
Let's take a look at the video you showed yesterday, the last frame of that in which the taser was dropped.
Okay.
Can you look at the last frame, please? I believe it states Exhibit 195.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
That's what's printed in the bottom right-hand corner. Yes, sir.
Is that frame 2609?
If that frame is linked to the file number and that's what's on the file number, then yes.
And can we now take a look at when the taser is picked up? Have that video? Can we look at the first frame of that? Is that the video that the jury has not seen, but they have in evidence?
Actually, sir, that is a contact sheet, one of the selected images that I produced, the 418 images. That is not the video.
Can I ask what exhibit number that is, Your Honor?
Mr. Savage, what exhibit are you publishing before the jury?
Is that on this?
Mr. Savage, what exhibit number are you publishing before the jury?
This is part of the video, Your Honor.
What exhibit number are you publishing before the jury?
It states exhibit of the video that contains this image, which would be, you shaking your head no?
No, sir. This is actually an image. This is a contact sheet. This is not a video.
Can you take it down, please? Do
All of the contact sheets were produced from the original images that I selected from the original videos. The contact sheets list the frame numbers, the case number, and the lab number from those images I produced.
Any photos that you produce that are not contained in the video?
The video or enhanced videos. I produced the images from the original videos that were produced from the cell phone.
So any singular image that you have testified about comes from Mr. Santana's video, correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
And that video is in evidence.
Yes, sir.
And is this shot that I just showed you part of that video?
Yes, sir.
And does it have a frame number attached to it?
That frame number was located just below the image of what we just saw.
So you could look at that frame number, look at the frame number when the taser was dropped, and you could tell this jury how many seconds it was on the ground.
How many seconds it was on the ground?
Yes.
I would have to look at it because there were two videos. I need to make sure that the video of it dropped or picked up was actually produced on the same video that it was dropped. If it was done on the second video, no, I could not, because there was a break between the two videos, and the frame numbers would not allow me to do a time constraint between when it was dropped and when it was picked up.
You have looked at Mr. Santana's video,
Yes, sir.
and does his video show it being dropped and show it being picked up?
Yes, sir.
And that's all on disc one?
Yes, sir, it does.
You know the frame numbers involved,
Those are selected on, I believe, disc 2.
and that is in evidence.
Yes, sir.
That you can tell this jury how many seconds the taser was on the ground.
As I just stated, I would have to ensure that the video of him dropping it and picking it up is on the same video. If they are not on the same video, I would not be able to tell you how long that taser was on the ground.
So that's why I asked you if it's on Mr. Santana's video.
And
Is
I
it
answered
on
yes.
the same video, or is it not?
I would have to review the video real quick.
Would it be fair to say that another examiner, perhaps not you, could look at all this evidence of videos and give us exact times in the sequence of events?
Sir, I am one of the senior examiners in the FBI. I handle most of the large cases that come across our desk, to include the Boston bombing, the ISIS videos, the Pulse Club videos, the stabbing at the Mall of America. There is no person within the FBI in my capacity that would be able to do this above and beyond what I do.
Well, thank you very much for your service to our country. Now, the question is on basic math. Basic math, can
Yes, sir.
somebody tell the timing involved in the sequence of events? In this case,
Well, as I've already explained, if that video or if the taser is dropped and picked up within the same video, we can. If it is not, and that picking up of the taser is in the second video, then it would not be able to, because I'm not sure how long the break was between the first video and the second video.
but as the senior, most experienced, best ever FBI agent, you can certainly tell that from the material you have.
Well, first of all, I'm not an FBI agent. I'm a retired agent with the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. If there is a request for me to get a time link into this video, I would surely attempt it. But as of yet, that was not the request during this examination, any of the 4 examinations that I did.
Who asked you to evaluate this
That would be I think, one of two case agents with the FBI. Special Agent Womble and I believe Special Agent Olson.
Now, do they also ask for an audio evaluation of the video?
Yes, sir.
And was that done by the FBI?
I believe it was.
Was it done by you?
No, sir. That would be Scott Rame with the FBI.
You're not in a position then to educate the jury on what information the audio may add to the time?
No, sir. No, sir. I'm specifically a video and image examiner with the FBI.
The video that the jury got from you doesn't have any audio in it.
Actually, one of these 6 videos does have audio connected with it. That would be the entire enhanced video. The audio that I left on there was the shooting itself.
And what about the taser sound?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
The
that.
sound of the tasers, was that on the video that you produced to the jury?
No, sir.
Was the, excuse me,
Sorry. If I produce these videos and I slow them down, the audio is missynced with the video, so the audio becomes dysfunctional with linking of the video.
but of course you could have presented it at real time. You didn't have to break it down to 15% or 25%. You could have presented the video as Mr. Santana took it. You could have enhanced the audio. You could have enhanced the video so that the jury could link sequentially the times. Is that correct?
No, sir. I am not an audio examiner. I do not have the capability, training, or the authorization to do audio enhancement for this case. My portion was very specific to video and imagery.
Is there any video on the tapes that you showed the jury?
I'm sorry?
You took out the audio, correct?
Yes, sir. And it was,
Enhanced or unenhanced, whatever.
yes, sir. And it was plainly stated on the videos.
Put it back together again?
Put it back together?
Anybody ever show your videos with a mark on when the taser was used or not used, or a call for help was made, or any other audio information?
I did not do that, sir. I believe yourself and the prosecution to come will have that video forthwith.
Did I just meet you this morning?
Yes, sir.
You certainly seem to know a lot about me. Do you have a
I
friend
do.
in my office or something?
No, sir. I tend to do a little bit of research on the people I talk to.
You know right. May the witness come down? Yes. Mr. Animal, the upper right-hand corner there states exhibit number 237 that's already in evidence. Could you please show the jury how to open that in QuickTime Player?
So if you right click on there, go to open with, select QuickTime Player, hit no. Resize the video to fit the window, and then you can hit play. Again, as I stated before, once you hit play, you can use the space bar to either start or stop it, and then use the right or left arrow key on the computer to go frame by frame of the video.
And what is this right here, sir?
That is the time count of this video.
So anybody that wants to watch anything on that video, all they gotta do is hit pause and play and measure between the two, and they'll know exactly how long it is. What is it?
Yes, sir, as I stated multiple times before.
And it doesn't require a frame number
No, sir.
or a frame count,
No, sir.
or what is that? What frame number is that or any of that, correct?
No, sir.
Because that plays in real time, exactly. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
And if you would play it, let's see how long this big, long fight lasts.
Objection, Your Honor. The formal question is misleading in the characterization that this video recorded the fight, recorded a small portion.
Objection sustained.
If you would go back to the beginning, sir, could you play this video and show us how long this fight lasts.
An objection to the form of the question, it's misleading.
The objection is overruled.
Stop, please. How long has this video been played?
13 seconds.
Approximately. And how long in that 13 seconds do you actually see the two people on the video?
Very briefly.
Okay, continue on, please. Pause, please. That's when you drop the taser. And if you would, play it and see how long it was before you picked it up. Stop. Roughly how long?
So they dropped it at approximately 1 minute, 27 seconds. Within the video, picked it up at 1 minute, 56 seconds.
Okay. So, there's no mystery to that, is there?
No, sir.
Also, at the time, the videographer was right there at the fence, correct?
Yes, sir.
No trees in between, correct? You may resume your seat, sir.
Judge, the solicitor appears to be introducing the disc that's already in it.
Yes, sir. May I have the witness identified?
Yes, sir.
And to which previously been marked as State's Exhibits number 249, 250, ask if you recognize those discs, sir.
Yes, sir.
What are they?
So during the initial examination, I produced 3 DVDs containing the videos and images. This is DVD set number 2 and number 3 that contain the image set, contact sheets, and the original images produced during this examination.
And that contains all the work that you created during your examination in April of 2016.
The initial examination, yes, sir.
And essentially what 2 and 3 are images that are taken off of disc number 1, correct?
Off of the original videos, yes, sir.
Okay. And you recognize those discs how, sir?
They have my case number, my lab number, my initials, and the date on them. I produced these DVDs.
Your Honor, we would offer 249, 250.
Any objection?
That's what they didn't offer yesterday. We offered it today, and it's already met.
Are there any objection?
Yes, we objected.
Right. In response?
Your Honor, he brought up during cross-examination that we have introduced all of his work that was introduced.
Right, they're admitted over objection.
And how many images are on the disc 2 and 3?
That's a lot. So I extracted, let me grab my notes here real quick. Actually, I believe the notes are down by your desk, or your desk there. You have the notes. Thank you. So on disc number 2, you have 8 image contact sheets, and then 131 original images, or excuse me, the enhanced images themselves. On disc number 3, you have 286 original enhanced cropped and full images, and then 47 images from the enhanced cropped and full image set from the second video.
And once again, those images are not anything different than what's shown in your videos, are they?
From the original videos? No, sir.
Okay, and you have the original videos on stage 12, correct?
I do, yes, sir.
Oh, this is what I wanted to ask you. This is stage 2.
Objection to whatever it is.
May I ask a question first?
Right, you may proceed.
With regard to stage 247,
This video?
that video that you're showing right there.
Yes, sir.
That's showing right there. If it's played on QuickTime, can you go through that frame by frame just like the videos you produce?
Yes, sir. In fact, this video here, I actually produced this one.
Okay. So the jury can fool with this as much as they want, can't
Yes, sir. I try and give every single thing, every capability that I can think of for this case and any other case that I do for viewing.
they? Okay. And once again, if they were interested in time, they can just look at the time.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Further cross-examination?
What you just introduced yesterday with 2 discs, disc number 2 is the exact same disc that you introduced this morning in response to my questions?
I'm sorry, sir? So there were 3 discs on the initial examination. The disc 1 produced was the videos. Disc 2 was the contact sheet and the taser set. And disc 3 is the continuation of those image sets to encompass the entire examination.
So defendants number 44,
So this would be disc 2 from my image set.
and that's what was not produced yesterday, correct?
That was not introduced, no, sir.
And it was introduced this morning by the defense.
Yes, sir.
And then State's Exhibit number 249 was just introduced,
Yes, sir.
and it's the exact same thing.
Yes, sir.
You may step down.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
Your Honor, we're at the point that we discussed yesterday. It's going to take 20, 30 minutes for us to get set up, which will put us at noon. I just don't want the jury to have to wait around on us. We could go ahead and break and then start, roll on. This should be our last witness.
All right, we'll be in recess till 1 o'clock. I know something to pick up. Everyone will be seated. With regard to the next witness, are there any matters of law as to any issues?
Nothing to say, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I believe the defense would like to require here the proper expert witness outside the prison.
All right, what says the state?
That's fine, Your Honor. We can do that now if you'd like.
Okay,
But we will need some time on the back end to get set up and do the things we can talk about.
Okay.
But if we want to go ahead and take care of that, what we can.
okay. May call the witness.
Bill Williams. Judge, you may, I think he stepped out when he thought we were breaking for lunch, but someone, you know, trying to.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you shall give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
Apologize, Your Honor.
No problem.
Please state your first and last name, and spell your last name loud and clearly.
William A. Williams, W-I-L-L-I-A-M-S.
Mr. Williams, just because you weren't in the courtroom, we're going to go over your qualifications now, not your entire testimony, obviously. The jury's not here.
Okay.
You're Bill Williams,
Yes.
and where do you live?
Georgetown, South Carolina.
And what is your current employment?
Self-employed,
For,
YSAT,
and what is that?
Williams Innovative Software and Training,
Okay, and how long has YSAT been in existence?
96.
And before we go through the development of YSAT, let's talk a little bit about cases that you've been involved with.
Okay.
Well, first of all, with this case, you were asked to perform some video stabilization and enhancement, is that correct?
Yes.
You were also asked to do some crime scene analysis and recreation,
Yes.
and to prepare a timeline.
Yes.
Have you done that kind of work before?
Yes.
Number of times?
Yes.
Have you done similar type work in dram shop litigation?
Yes.
Okay, and dram shop is when a bar serves or a person serves another alcohol and then there's an accident, that sort of thing?
Right.
Okay. And were you involved in the cases of Calvin Singleton and David Longstreet and Mr. Simmons regarding dram shop litigation?
Yes.
And in those cases, did you create accident animation,
Yes.
timeline,
Yes.
video analysis or enhancement?
Yes.
Have you also done that kind of work, video analysis and enhancement of convenience store videos?
Yes.
And you were involved in a case against Kangaroo, is that a gas station or something
Yes.
like that? But you performed video enhancement of what?
Multiple surveillance videos.
So surveillance videos from the gas station or convenience store, you took and did what with?
Interior and exterior videos I enhanced and synced.
Okay, and when you say sync, what do you mean?
Well, let's say you're looking at a person moving from a field of vision of one camera to the next, linking those back up so it's a seamless transition from one to the
So
other.
that the viewer can watch
Yes.
without having to switch cameras, switch discs, whatever?
Yes.
Okay. Have you also performed video enhancement of police dashboard cameras, for instance, in Lindler versus South Carolina Highway Patrol?
Yes.
Lindler versus South Carolina Highway Patrol. What did you have to do in that case with the dashboard videos?
Both video and audio enhancement.
Okay. And again, in a case involving Walmart, did you conduct video enhancement and syncing of multiple security cameras?
Yes.
Okay. And why did you have to do that? Why was that necessary in that case?
Same reason, to first track the subject into the store and then out of the store, and then there was an altercation outside of the store.
And were there multiple people besides the person involved that needed to be accounted for?
Yes.
Okay. And did you create a timeline in that case in preparation for litigation?
Yes.
In a case involving the City of Columbia, an obstruction of justice case, did you conduct video enhancement and syncing and a timeline in that case
Yes.
in preparation for litigation?
Yes.
And then again, in another case against the City of West Columbia, did you conduct video enhancement and multiple person tracking on multiple videos again?
Yes.
And create a timeline of that incident?
Yes.
And did you also, in that case against the City of West Columbia, have to sync dispatch information with dashboard cameras and other media,
Yes.
similar to what we had in this case?
Yeah, there's no cell phone, but yeah, multiple media's dashboard, yes.
And then in a case against Sheriff Leon Lott, out of, I guess, either Richland or Kershaw County, did you have to analyze the original crime scene work and investigation and produce a timeline with regards to that case?
Yes.
Okay. Now, other than this case, you have been involved in officer-involved shooting cases, is that
I
right?
have.
Okay. And one of those was also against Kershaw County. It involved trajectory as a demonstrative aid, is that right?
Yes.
And preparing a timeline
Yes,
and video work.
yes.
What did you have to do in that case? What type of work?
We're talking
More
about,
specific.
I know more by name, are we talking,
Blakely
yes,
versus Kershaw County?
right. Well, there was a fatal shooting at a mobile home, and there were multiple shots, multiple officers and DNA, or DNR representative there. So we basically tracked the trajectory of all the shots that were made, both from the exterior of the residence, through the walls, into the interior. We built a full-scale model of the entranceway of the mobile home, plus a full-size replica of the mobile home itself, showing all the same stuff.
And that was also anticipation of litigation?
That was on the, yeah, that went to trial, but settled right before trial.
Okay. And then you were on the defense team in a case involving a police officer, Garin, where you had to look into dashboard cameras
Yes,
and integrate the in-car video with the scene diagram, steering, things of that nature.
yes.
Tell the judge what you performed in that case. What kind of work?
Well, what I testified about was in the dash cam, the claim was that the officer intentionally ran down a fleeing suspect who was on foot, and they had the dash cam of the event. So my initial role was to look at the dash cam that was reporting whether the brakes were being applied on the video. It says brake apply off, and time that with the video to say when the brakes were actually on and off. Now, as part of that, with the defense attorney, I also analyzed and took a look at the defense work. They did a reconstruction and a recreation at the scene with their own video, and then they had a diagram. So we basically took a look at that and saw whether it was accurate or not, and pointed out some inaccuracies that the defense attorney attempted to get me to testify about, but too late notice, so I wasn't allowed to testify about it. But he used it in the cross of the defense witness.
To cross-examine?
Yes.
Another witness?
Yes. I'm sorry, plaintiff or prosecution witness.
And then in a case involving the city of Woodruff, another officer-involved shooting, did you perform crime scene inspection?
Yes.
And this would be sometime well after the event, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and again, in anticipation of litigation.
Yes.
Did you also create a timeline in that case?
Yes.
And again, that's from multiple media sources?
Yes.
Documentation developed in the case?
Yes.
And then you were involved in the case of the state versus Mr. Combs, who was the police chief in Utahville.
I was.
And you were part of the defense team in that case.
I was.
And that was an officer-involved shooting?
It was.
You performed scene inspection from the scene where the event occurred?
I did.
You did an eyewitness scene recreation, is that right?
Yeah, there were two eyewitnesses that placed their positions and then said what they could see based on their testimony. So I was asked to go and basically put cameras in that position, put the vehicle back in its original position, and document what could be seen or not seen from those positions.
And to do that, did you have to do any camera matching in that case?
No.
Okay, because there wasn't an original video?
There was a human being, yeah, there was,
Okay.
yeah,
And that case went to trial twice?
twice.
And then you have also done work with tasers, or cases that involve tasers, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And the Summers case, that involved a taser, right?
It did.
Tell the judge about that case and what you had to perform in that case.
Well, a gentleman had basically a mental breakdown. He's a truck driver, and he woke up thinking that I think it was his son, was going to be murdered at Burger King. So he went outside in his underwear, broke into his own truck, got in the truck, proceeded to go to Burger King, caused an accident on the way, ended up in Burger King, jammed up against the dumpster where the officers basically went to retain him, and then he was taken to the back parking lot next to Burger King, where he got up and was tased additionally times. He was tased at the truck, he was tased later on. So I had to create a timeline of the entire event from beginning to end, from when he left his house to the last tasings. At the very end, there's a news video of the event that I basically had to stabilize and enhance and do audio enhancement on.
So in your work on that case and in others, have you worked with taser logs?
Yes.
Of that nature?
Yes.
In the past, have the taser logs that you've worked with been from Taser International or other, I guess is it CEW companies?
No, it might have been the taser ones downloaded from the device itself.
From Taser International?
Well, they aren't necessarily the ones doing the download.
Okay.
A lot of time it's the local police department
But
doing the
from
download.
a device that is actually a Taser International device?
Yeah, there's taser software hooked to their taser producing the download.
Okay, so
Yes.
you synced those things in the Summers case?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the cases that I just went through, those aren't all of the cases that you've done in your litigation work?
No, they're not.
Okay. But they are cases where you've performed various types of stabilization enhancement, syncing, timeline preparation, is that right?
It is.
And you're not saying, and I'm not saying, that you were called in each of these cases to testify as an expert.
No.
And in fact, you haven't been called as an expert in video enhancement before, have you?
No, I have not.
Okay. And as far as forensic scene analysis, I believe in the Combs case, you were qualified as an expert in forensic investigation and scene documentation. Is that correct?
Sounds right, yes.
And evidence preservation.
Yes.
Now let's go back. You've obviously been involved with multiple cases, some involving police officers. You have not had formal education in these fields, is that right?
That's correct.
So explain to the judge how you developed these technical skills, starting from when you got your start in, as an adult, and how it developed to your being able to stabilize and enhance videos, sync media, prepare timelines. How did all this happen? I know it's a long story, but
Okay.
he's got to hear it.
Well, it started when I didn't listen to my parents' advice about not getting married right out of high school and to go to school first. So I got married right when I graduated in 1979, and I went to school for engineering, but I also worked full-time. I did not finish school. I made a couple attempts at it. So I went to work full-time as a mechanic at a company called Monroe Muffler Brake. It was a fast undercar service company located in Rochester, New York. And I moved up the ranks pretty fast because both I earned it, plus they were a fast-growing company. So,
Where was that located? What part of the country?
well, when I went to work for them, I went to work in their Erie, Pennsylvania store. And they were moving west, so in short order, I went from assistant manager to their Meadville store, which is a little south of Erie, to open up their first store in Ohio, which was Ashtabula, Ohio. Well, to skip a little ahead, I moved up to what's called an area manager, where I supervised 5 or 6 stores under a person called a regional manager. Well, shortly after that, I became a regional manager, and from regional manager, we had one person in the training department, and all he really did was schedule vendor training. All our people who sold us parts and equipment would come in and train our people how to work on cars. Well, he was more or less just a scheduler. Well, they decided to grow the department, and I was the second person at the department. So I went to the department, and he started sending me on the road to give classes because I had become known what I was doing with a wrench. And my teaching tools were an overhead projector and a bunch of slides.
So this is about what year, what time?
This would have been in the, I joined the department in '89, okay? Well, I come back and say, this isn't working, and there has to be a better way. Well, in my time from regional manager to becoming second in the training department, I started using, actually back to the store level, I'll have to correct myself. When I took over the Ashtabula store, opened that store up, I programmed a Commodore 64 to do estimating and inventory control for my store. I was the first store in the company to have any kind of computer in the store. And when I moved to regional manager, I kept that process going, and I taught myself how to call all the shops up over the modem, get all the sales data back up, because it was all done by phone on Monday mornings, and I didn't like that. So I called all my shops up, pulled the data back, and I started doing for other regional managers. So I was...
Let me stop you right there.
Sure.
We're in the late 80s.
Late 80s.
You're using a Commodore.
At the Ashtabula store, and then I was using a laptop running on a 3.5-inch floppy disk when I was a regional manager. Actually, the first one they gave me, it was a suitcase-type device where the top popped off, and there was a little monitor and a keyboard. That's what I was first using as a regional manager.
And so you said you didn't like the way you were supposed to collect data on Monday mornings to give to your bosses.
I'd spend half, 3/4 of a day calling all my shops. What'd you do this? What were your hours? Because we controlled, of course, tracked sales, we tracked hourly, payroll and all that. And it wasn't a very effective use of time.
So you wrote what?
I wrote a program that would,
Okay, let me stop right here. You wrote a program.
yes,
Hadn't finished college.
no,
How did you know how to write a program?
I taught myself.
And what did this program do that you wrote?
Well, I had, I think, 12 or 13 stores at the time. It would sequentially call each store, get into, they were using a Unix system, so it would get into their Unix system, get the data I wanted, and then bring that back to my home-based computer, and then I would, for myself, print it out, and for the other shops, I would send it to their shop. They had a home shop where they had their office. I sent it to their home shop, and it would print out on their printer, so when they came in the morning, they had a printout too.
Okay. And that helped immensely.
Oh, it did, yes. We were the envy of the company, our little district.
So was that your first foray into software writing?
Well, the Commodore was the first one to write that program, and then this was the second one.
All right. Now, I interrupted you. You were saying that that was the first thing you did as a regional manager, I guess. But as far as training went.
Right. So when I went into training, I had an idea how to use a computer, but I was using it for the business end of things. When I came back from trying these training classes, it was obvious to me that technicians are visual learners, and I'm trying to teach them how to, these complicated parts work with line art that doesn't move. So the first thing I did was... Transparencies on overhead.
Okay.
The first thing I did was research what kind of programs are out there, and there's a program called GRASP, and there's a programming language where you would actually, I take these overheads and I would first bring them into an editor and turn them into color, and then cut them into little parts, and this GRASP allowed me to program each little part to move a certain distance, up, down, sideways, rotate, whatever. So I turned these transparencies into color animations, two-dimensional, but they were color animations. And I started using that, plus I spent a lot of time making actual cutaways, cutting parts apart so that you could see inside them, stuff like that. Taking parts or systems out of cars and bringing them so I could bring them into a classroom, like an ABS system built in a suitcase. We open up and they could see it work. So that was the first step, is to change the visuals. And then from there, I went from 2D to 3D animation.
Why? Why did you leave 2D?
Well, because the depth, I mean, it's a whole different world. So I bought a program called 3D Studio, and I can remember when I first got it, it took me probably, I don't know, 2-3 hours to get a ball to bounce, but I got it to bounce. From there, I took my cutaways and started building models of all those.
In the computer?
In the computer. So once I got the models built, then I could add motion to them. So now I had a library of car parts that I used in my classes. And
in this library of car parts, you would use and show how, what was working, like, for example?
master cylinder, caliper, ABS modulator, yes. So this all happened within the first year I was in training, and by the first year I took this gentleman's job that I was working under, and the department gave me resources to expand it. And when I left them in '96, I had 7 or 8 people working for me, all doing various levels of what I just talked about. I taught them how to do the same thing. And we established ourselves in the industry as certainly being on the leading edge, even against our vendors who, you know, were doing it every day.
For creating these
For our-
programs that would help teach.
For our training curriculum, which included all the medias I just talked about, especially the 3D, yes.
Okay. And some of the companies that hired you, you're now at YSEP, right?
I left in '96, and what happened was a lot of people saw my work, inside and outside the company, and they said, Bill, this is pretty good stuff. You might think about doing it for yourself. A couple of people who worked in the company, higher ups, a VP and I think, well, both of them were VPs, had said they would invest in me if I decided to go out on my own. Plus, the one gentleman was my supervisor. He said he would give me 30 days. I could give it 30-day notice, so I wasn't just abruptly ending things. Well, the president of the company got wind of this, and he didn't agree with that. So
Because you were now going to be training competitors.
that's what his position was, yes. So I went from a 30-day, you know, cushion and some money, probably carrying me for the first year, to see you, Bill. So the goal when I left Monroe was I was going to write my own software to put everything together that I had created, my own version of PowerPoint, but having an internal library of parts. So I had 3 types of visuals. A build a part, where you build a 3D part with 1 click at a time, and then
On a computer.
Yep, and then an animated part. So that part, you built it, now you're going to animate it. And then after that, all the cutaways I made were brought into the computer in pictures, multiple views and all that, so it was a graphic part. So if I wanted to put together a brake class, I would go in there and say, add a slide, add a caliper, add a master. I could add bullet slides. So I developed that piece of software. I never marketed it, because what happened was when I had to go out on my own with no support, I ended up having to do the same thing I was doing for Monroe for other companies who couldn't provide their own training. So I was on the road constantly providing training, but I was using my own software to do it.
Okay. And at YSAT, you have 2 employees, is that right?
Currently 2 employees, yes.
Okay. And Tim Thompson is one of them?
Yes,
And he is a graduate of Ohio State?
he is.
In what field?
Aeronautical engineering.
And the 2 of you work side by side?
Tim's like a son to me. We've been working together since he was, I think, 17. He's 36 now. He looks like he's 17 still, but yes.
And so you're, at this point in your timeline, you are out teaching, using software you've written that animates and explains cars or car parts.
Yes.
When did you first step into litigation support?
It would have been early 2000s, 2003, I believe it was.
Was that when you jumped in or when you first got a call?
No, that when I jumped in. Between, I'd say, 98 and 2003, I got a handful of calls from people who had heard about me or seen some of my work, wanting to know if I'd be interested in looking at accident claims and that type of thing.
Accident claims?
Well, you know, that a brake failure occurred or something like that.
Okay. And at first you didn't do that?
Well, after talking to them and vetting them, none of them seemed like they had the merit for me to go in there and prove their theories, so I didn't even get involved.
Okay. And eventually, however, you did become involved in doing forensic work for attorneys in accident claims?
I did.
And who first got you in that field, or in that?
A lawyer out of Georgetown, Ed Bell.
Okay. And he is now the president, I guess, of the law school here?
He is.
Okay. And so about what year was it that Ed Bell convinced you to get involved in a case for him?
2003.
What kind of case was that?
Well, it's a case involving a brand-new, at the time, it's a 1997 F-150 pickup truck. It was 3 weeks old when the accident occurred. A young man, 17 years old, went through an intersection and was sideswiped by a 1-ton Chevy pickup towing a industrial contractor-type trailer. And during the accident, the passenger side door came open, and unfortunately, this young man was ejected through that door and broke his neck and became a quadriplegic with brain damage.
And after that case, did you continually do more accident-type case or recall cases, that sort of thing?
Yes.
And most of your work in those cases involved what?
Automotive-type failures?
Scene recreation?
Yes. We were involved in scene inspections, recreations, animations, yes.
At some point, you moved from being involved in litigation regarding accidents to criminal investigations. Is that correct?
Well, I do both still, but yes, I did get involved in that.
At some point, you realized that what you had been doing with accidents could also be used in criminal cases.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just accidents from '03 to present. We've done industrial accidents and other types of non-automotive related work. But yes, I was contacted or asked to do that type of work by numerous lawyers.
Now, in doing scene recreations, is there a difference in your field in recreating a scene involving a car wreck or a scene involving a shooting or a scene involving a shoplifting?
No, all the same principles apply.
How about with regard to animations? Is there a difference between a civil case and a scene there and a criminal case regardless of what the topic is?
Well, it depends on what level of accuracy you're talking, because there could be a higher level of accuracy required for, of course, a forensic type, depending on what the animation is supposed to depict. Others just demonstrative. So there's a little bit of variation there.
And you testified earlier that you had not been an expert in these particular fields, but in your role as litigation support in doing these cases that settle before trial, have you had a chance to review the work of other folks in the same line of work, video, stabilization, enhancement, scene recreation?
I have?
And have they also had a chance to review your work?
Yes.
Critique your work? And how many scenes, not distinguishing criminal versus civil, how many scenes have you processed or analyzed since you became involved in litigation support?
It's got to be in the hundreds.
How about videos? How many have you stabilized or enhanced in your career?
Hundreds. Maybe I've broke 1,000, I don't know.
And as far as syncing things together, different medias, audio recordings, video recordings, multiple video recordings, do you know how many you've synced?
I'm usually working on one all the time, if not multiple at the time. It's in the hundreds easy.
And can you tell the judge what processes or tools you use for stabilization and enhancement?
As far as software goes, we use a software package called Synthesize. We use a package called Ikena currently. Ikena, yes. Sony Vegas is a video editor. A number of other.
Any Apple products?
No, I'm a PC guy, except I use the iPad for trial prep or presentation, stuff like that. But as far as, no, I've been a PC guy my whole life.
Now, you heard Mr. Emmel with the FBI testify that he had used Adobe Premiere. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I used to use it when I first left Monroe. I had Adobe Premiere.
So you're familiar with how that works?
Not the current version of it. I mean, it certainly has changed over the years, but yes.
So are there multiple software packages from different vendors that can perform stabilization and enhancement?
Yes.
And are these off, excuse me, off-the-shelf type programs?
Yeah, anybody can buy them.
Okay. And how do you learn to use them?
Same way I've learned the different programming languages I've used, and the 3D Max program is you use a combination of the help files, tutorials. Currently, the internet is it's unbelievable resource of what's out there, what people are taking time to share as far as what they know about these packages. So there's a lot of resources out there.
And specifically with regard to zip ties, how long have you been using that product?
4 or 5 years.
And in doing your scene recreations, have you employed what's called photogrammetry?
Yes.
And what type of photogrammetry have you used?
Well, the type I've used in this case, which I've used in the past, is reverse projection photogrammetry.
And what is that?
Basically, you've got a image that it's usually a single image, or it could be a group of images, but it doesn't allow, easily at least, or maybe not at all, the application of a different type of photogrammetry to be applied. You're trying to recreate a camera's position when they took that photo. That's the simple way to say it.
To match it?
To match it.
Okay. And in this case, you used a similar telephone as the Santana telephone to try to match the images that he captured on his video?
Yes, I purchased an exemplar Samsung, and we use that as our camera.
Now, back to YSAT, your company. How much would you say, how much of your business at YSAT involves forensic video stabilization and enhancement?
I've never really, I don't keep track of that. I mean, we're working on some level of video, I won't say weekly, but there's usually one case that has some video aspect to it that we have going on. So a lot of times multiple.
Okay. And forensic scene recreation, how about that? How often are you doing that with YSAT?
Most of our cases, well, a good percentage of our cases involve having to know the scene, go to the scene, review other people's work of the scene. Yes.
Your Honor, we would offer Mr. Williams as an expert in the field of forensic video stabilization and enhancement and forensic scene analysis. Forensic video stabilization and enhancement and forensic scene analysis and recreation.
We're going to take about 5 minutes and then proceed. We'll take 5 minutes. Please, without discussion testimony.